Welcome to Movie Tellers. Today, we'll be recapping a horror movie called Oddity. The film opens with a woman named Danny, who is excitedly renovating a house she plans to move into. She calls her husband Dr. Timmis, a psychiatrist at a mental hospital, to let him know she found a spot in the house with a network signal. She also leaves a voice message for her sister. That night, as she steps outside to search for her phone in the car, she hears strange noises. Flashing her light around, she sees nothing and heads back inside. Just as she locks the door and turns away, the handle suddenly moves, as if someone is trying to open it. Alarmed, she approaches and peers through the peephole. Standing outside is a strange, one-eyed man named Olin Boole, a recently discharged patient from Dr. Timmis's hospital. Olin warns her that while she was outside, he saw someone enter the house through the open door. Danny dismisses his claim, refusing to believe him. After some back and forth, she pretends to unlock the door but steps back, demanding that he leave or she'll call the police. Olin urges her to go ahead, but she admits that her phone is missing. Seeing her distress, Olin offers to find a nearby phone booth to call for help and then walks away. Inside, Danny grabs a hammer and cautiously searches the house, but finds no one. She picks up her camera and enters a tent she set up indoors, scrolling through recently saved photos taken in self-timer mode. To her horror, she spots an image of a masked man holding a hammer, standing just outside the tent. Terrified, she hears approaching footsteps. Slowly unzipping the tent, she looks up to see the masked figure standing before her, gripping a heavy hammer. Before she can react, he brutally attacks and kills her. Rumors quickly spread, blaming Olin for Danny's murder. 11 months later, Dr. Timmis, now referred to as Ted, visits Danny's twin sister Darcy. Blind since birth, Darcy runs an antique store and possesses a unique ability. She can read the history of objects simply by touching them. While holding an old bell, she tells Ted that it carries a dark history. Anyone who rings it dies. Ted dismisses her warnings as mere superstition. He then hands her an item belonging to Olin, revealing that he wants to fulfill one of her wishes in the wake of Danny's death. The item is Olin's eye shield. When Ted asks why she wants it, Darcy explains that she needs to see into Olin's past and uncover the truth behind her sister's murder. Before leaving, Ted invites her to a memorial for Danny's one-year death anniversary. He also reveals that he has moved on and is now seeing someone else. Shock flickers across Darcy's face as Ted walks away. That evening, Darcy returns home and begins her ritual, using Olin's eye shield to tap into his memories. As the visions unfold, she discovers the horrifying truth. Olin was not the killer. Someone else was responsible for Danny's death. Overcome with grief and rage, she breaks down in tears. Determined to uncover the real murderer, she steps into another room, turns on music and begins training, preparing herself for what's to come. The next scene takes us to Ted's mansion, where he and his new girlfriend, Yana, are talking. Yana expresses her discomfort about staying in the house alone at night, as Ted often works night shifts. She admits that she saw something unsettling the night before, but Ted dismisses her concerns, suggesting she's just sleep-deprived. Yana proposes that they move to her apartment in the city until he starts working regular hours, but Ted reassures her that Danny's ghost is not haunting the house and asks her not to sound like Darcy. Yana then presents a box, explaining that it was sent by Darcy. Just as Ted glances at it, they hear a car pulling up outside. Looking through the window, they see Darcy standing outside. Ted goes to open the door, surprised by her unexpected visit. Yana, clearly uncomfortable, says she wasn't expecting her, but Darcy insists that Ted invited her for Danny's death anniversary. Ted hesitates and suggests rescheduling, explaining that he's leaving for work and Yana is heading to the city for the night, meaning the house will be empty. However, Darcy insists on staying, even if they both leave. With no other choice, Ted agrees, though Yana is visibly uneasy. Darcy then walks over to the box she brought and presents it to Ted as an anniversary gift. Yana, curious, asks about the box, but Ted brushes it off, assuring her that he'll get rid of it in the morning once she's gone. He then advises Yana to pack her things and leave as well. Kissing her goodbye, he heads out for work. As Yana prepares to leave, Darcy suddenly requests food, claiming she's hungry. Yana simply directs her to the fridge and wishes her goodnight. However, just as she's about to walk out, she realizes her car keys are missing. After searching with no success, she decides to stay the night. While looking around, Yana notices a small, wooden, human-like figure seated on the table. Then, Darcy begins questioning her about her relationship with Ted, specifically asking if they were seeing each other while Danny was still alive. Yana denies any involvement, but Darcy warns her that she has the ability to see the truth by touching people's personal belongings. Their conversation intensifies, and Darcy reveals that Olin Boole did not kill Danny. Her real murderer was Ivan, the man Ted works with at the hospital. Shaken by this revelation, Yana secretly calls Ted to inform him about Darcy's accusations. However, Ted dismisses her concerns, insisting that Darcy has lost her mind. He tells Yana to go to bed and reassures her that he'll return as soon as possible. Later that night, Yana lies in bed, flipping through Danny's old camera, watching pictures and videos. Suddenly, a disturbing image of a grotesque, dead-looking face appears on the screen. Shocked, she throws the camera aside. Just then, the camera flashes, and a terrifying, ghostly woman appears, warning her to run. Panicked, Yana jumps out of bed and turns on the light, only to find nothing there. She heads downstairs and sees Darcy still asleep, but then she hears footsteps coming from the staircase. Grabbing a knife for protection, she cautiously steps forward. Suddenly, the box behind her slams shut. Startled, she turns and slowly opens it. Inside, she finds her missing car keys. Terrified, she dashes outside, only to see a shadowy figure emerge from the darkness. Screaming, she rushes into her car and speeds away from the house. Moments later, Ted returns home to find Darcy kneeling on the floor, crying. Suddenly, her sorrow turns into rage as she accuses him of orchestrating Danny's murder. She claims that Ted manipulated Ivan, a patient from his hospital, to kill Danny while making sure Olin Boole would overhear their conversations, setting him up to take the blame. The screen flashes back to a scene where Ted is seen instructing Ivan to carry out the murder, deliberately making their conversation loud enough for Olin to hear. As Olin tries to intervene and save Danny, he unintentionally seals his fate as the prime suspect. Back in the present, Ted firmly denies the accusations. To prove his innocence, he opens a hidden compartment in the floor, placing his phone inside. He tells Darcy that he's going to drive to the detective in charge of the case and demands that when his phone rings, she should answer. It will be the detective confirming that Olin was the real murderer. Without waiting for her response, he storms out of the house. Ted returns to his office and dials his own number from another phone, intending to lure Darcy into retrieving it. His plan works. When Darcy attempts to pick up the phone, she falls into the hidden hole he had set up. Hearing no response on the line, Ted assumes his plan has succeeded. To confirm, he sends Ivan to check the house. Upon arrival, Ivan finds Darcy lying in a pool of blood, barely clinging to life. He immediately calls Ted to deliver the news. Ted, feeling a wave of relief, listens as Ivan gives his report. But before Ivan can leave, Darcy weakly lifts a trembling hand and whispers an incantation. "We are connected!" A sudden, chilling scream echoes through the house. The wooden figurine, previously still, shifts its position. As Ivan moves through the house, he suddenly spots the human-like wooden figure standing upright. Panic sets in as the figure eerily begins walking toward him. Terrified, Ivan tries to escape, leaping from the top of the staircase, only to crash to the ground, breaking his leg. Unable to move, he watches in horror as the wooden figure slowly approaches. As it reaches him, Darcy takes her final breath. In the next scene, Ivan wakes up in a hospital bed strapped down. Ted stands over him, demanding to know what happened that night. Trembling, Ivan confesses everything, but Ted refuses to believe him, scoffing at the idea that a simple wooden figure could have moved. He claims to have already burned it. Ivan, overwhelmed with fear, begs to see a priest, desperate to confess his sins. Ted, however, threatens him, warning him to stay silent. Then, without hesitation, Ted releases another mentally unstable patient, one with a twisted appetite for human flesh. The deranged patient enters Ivan's room, and as he looms over him, the scene fades to black, leaving Ivan's fate sealed. Meanwhile, Ted returns home and calls Yana. Furious, she warns him never to contact her again unless he wants to leave that cursed house for good. As Ted steps out of his car, he notices a box sitting on his doorstep. Cautiously, he picks it up and takes it inside. Opening it, he finds a familiar object, the same antique bell from Darcy's shop. Intrigued, he stares at it for a moment before curiosity gets the better of him. He rings the bell. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echo through the house. Ted's breath catches as he scans the room. Then, eerie music begins to play. Before him stands a shadowy figure, the bellman, just as it was once described. The screen cuts to black. If you enjoyed this recap, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.